stopping in Cathedral Ward to do some farming before we get started today. I'm really looking forward to this episode. Honestly, this is something that I think has got some really cool lore implications, as well as some really cool fan theories, which yours truly has come up with. I don't know how viable they're going to be, but at the same time, very excited to be here and to be doing this, to be talking. I went the wrong way. That's all right, because eventually we gotta go up in this area. Nope. There's all kinds of loss right now. It's all right. What's up, Wandering? Hope you are well. I'm getting into some conspiracy theory tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah. How you doing, friend? And I realized that going through this, there is a limit of how many blood vials you can have. So, of all this time I've been farming while I've been kind of searching for everything, I realized that I reached its maximum, and so it's like Forrest Gump. It's like, I don't have to worry about blood vials no more. So that's good. One less thing. What? You're watching My Hero? I am proud. Where are you in that show? By the way, anything that Ryan says about My Hero is a lie. Because he jokingly says he hates Midoriya. He doesn't. He loves Midoriya. As you should. Because he's... Oh, wow, you're like in season... 2? Season 2? Yeah. With the internships. That is... I love that sequence. That's a really fun arc. And poor Ida. I always feel bad for Ida. Because Ida's my favorite character. I'm getting noticed by all kinds of baddies. They're making noises at me. So yeah, quick farm run before I figure this all out, because I got a lot of places I got to go to before I even get started with some of the lore implications for tonight. You are not Outrider. Welcome. We were just talking about anime, something that we do a lot in geeks like us. Oh, I meant to ask, is my sound sounding okay to everybody? The sync? I know I had a problem with that last time, so I want to make sure everything sounds okay, everything's in line and so forth. I think I know what the problem was, but I want to be sure with y'all first. Okay, good. Good. That's what I want to hear. I always forget how much insight changes this game. And I like sometimes not for the better. It makes it so much harder. Yeah, so Outrider, I was telling Wandering that I've reached my blood vial limit. I have been farming so much that I can't pick up blood vials anymore. I have over 600, or I have 600. So I think that's a problem. This is the sign that you're farming too much. I think it's funny. Or sad. I can't tell which. Now, if only I could get the maximum blood vials, or excuse me, for Quicksilver bullets. That would be great. But alas, I used them too much. I fought a Tumerian in a Chalice dungeon last night, and I think I wasted about 90% of my bullets. Those things are hard. I can't... I always remember how hard those things are. But I've upgraded my weapon to an absurd degree, to the point where I can take out most enemies are 1 or 2 hits now. Not to mention, picked up my favorite blood gem in mid-game, which adds flame effect to, which don't do particularly well against these big church dwellers, but does pretty well in just about everything else. Ever notice going through Bloodborne that most things are pretty weak to either fire or electricity? This is a fun Bloodborne fact. Most things don't be like caught on fire or being electrocuted. I don't even worry about the narcs anymore. I love being over-leveled. It's like an unironic thing of Monty Python, 'tis but a scratch. So yeah, mention a couple things before we get started. We had talked a little bit about the, yes! Thank you for reminding me. I actually didn't write that down, but I'm going to. Let me wait till 8 o'clock actually starts up. Now, I do have to ask you, Outrider, because this was a question that was bugging me ever since you mentioned it. Do they appear after I beat Vicar Amelia, or have they always been there? I can't say I noticed when I was running in, and I think your comment showed up like as I was running in to the Grand Chapel, but I don't remember. Quite frankly, there's a lot of things that if you're just not paying that much attention, you're gonna miss them. I know. It was funny. Skyman mentioned a couple of days ago about your spirit animal wandering, and okay, they're from the get-go. I don't remember what it was specifically, but I'm like, I mean, I can't speak for wandering, but I'm pretty sure that we had at least discussed what your who your spirit animal was in Vicar Amelia. Yeah, so those are the statues being talked about. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find the best way to talk about them instead of just like randomly saying, hey, here's the H.P. Lovecraft thing that we've been talking about this entire time. Amelia is cool. She doesn't have a lot of lore to her, but I do think the more you get into what her purpose is, the more it kind of unfolds a little bit, and that's actually something I want to talk about for this stream, especially at the end, talking about what Amelia's role is in the influence of the city of Yharnam, especially within Cathedral Ward. So I think she's got it's not a huge backstory, but I do think it's something of her role is very important. Here's a real... Oops! I didn't mean to go this way. Hang on, you all didn't see that. There is a real shot to show more of what's going on here past an outbreak of beasts. Hey, Tocho, what's up? And for the record, I've been mispronouncing poor Tocho's name the entire time, and for that, I greatly apologize. I still feel really bad about that. I was watching one of his World of Warcraft videos, which are really good, by the way. Admittedly, I know nothing about World of Warcraft. True story, and please don't shame me. But no, they were really good and very informative. And by the way, the sound, that's fun as long as I know people are trying to. Aw, yeah, I got you, buddy. It's Coastal Fam. So I was just mentioning a little bit about Vicar Amelia's role. Not to mention, if y'all look really closely, I'm sure Tocho, see, I'm not quite used to it yet. Tocho and Outrider are well aware. The more insight you have, things start to change a little bit, including these crosses. They're like laced with arcane. You can see right there. Oh, shoot. That's not good. Whew. Okay. Parry windows on these are absurd. I'm trying to get a good farming run a little bit before I get started, mainly because the first level I need to go to is actually pretty significant, and I know Tocho and Outrider know that there's a very specific way to go to the jail. And I don't want to be sitting on a lot of blood vials while I'm getting ready to go to jail. Oh no, I forgot about this! Man, forgot all about it. I do not like Arcane. So I think you can actually see, or maybe not. Okay. Those lanterns actually change the more insight you have. So when you collect Madman's knowledge, you actually gain... What's up, Potter? You actually gain more insight, which helps you see things just a little bit differently. And Tocha, I was telling everybody that I have officially farmed so much that I have topped out my amount of blood vials I can store. Is that a good thing, Potter? I want to say yay. Yay? Yay. That sounds good. It sounds like a yay. Oh, it's an eh. We're about ready to get started here. I actually want to run on a couple things, particularly as I know there was a big question by Dr. Space Cowboy. I wanted to make sure he was in here for when I talked to him. But there's a lot of cool stuff that I haven't shown yet that I've kind of discovered on my farming runs. Oh, that's wonderful. Man, I'm proud of you, buddy. Anytime you're being able to accomplish something, that's awesome. That is so cool. I actually don't know if this will be enough to get going. The narcs. Oh, I'm gonna talk about a narc that exists in Hemwick, Charnel Lane. That is one of the most debatable enemies in the game. Hemwick is a hard place to get a lot of lore for. Just a lot of people kind of consider it a filler level, but I think we got some cool stuff. Aw, that's awesome, dude. Proud of you, buddy. Not proud of these narcs. Although it's very satisfying to knock them down like a tennis ball or a volleyball. Anybody's been watching Haiku. Let's be honest, I think only Space Cowboy and I watch Haiku. Although, we have a new My Hero Academia watcher, so we got progress, y'all. Alright. So we're getting to that point where I think a level up is in order, and then we're going to actually head over back to Central Yharnam. Yeah, I just finished Season 4 of My Hero. They weren't, unfortunately because of COVID, they weren't able to complete the dub, but I have been gaining a much better appreciation for the sub, as it is super important. The obvious improvement in timing. Well, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. It sounds like I was just kind of ganking around. Although, farming those things enough, you tend to kind of get used to... Oh, good. Let's keep with Arcane. Alright. So let's start up. Welcome, everybody, to Lore du Jour. This is the show that talks a lot about hidden lore within our favorite games. My name is Dr. Emery Daniel, and we're going to first play some catch-up before we get into two areas within this game. One is the jail, and one is the is Hemwick Charnel Lane. And I am going to make sure that I don't cheat through it. I'm going to go through the entire thing, including a section that I really don't like. So let's first take a visit to Yusefka. Remember, we tried to send the old guy to Yusefka last episode, and he decided to go to Cathedral Ward instead. But let's talk to her real quick.
Oh, hello. You made it. Find any survivors? Or only beasts? Tell anyone who's human about Yusefka's clinic. I will take proper care of them. They're in your hands. And soon, mine.
It just seems nice, you know? I will wonder if we will send anybody to Yusefka in the not-too-distant future. We've got a couple more opportunities to send people. Tocho, I agree. I don't understand why y'all think she's so creepy. She's just trying to help. She's a Healing Church member, you know? Healing Church members are there to help. Just like, and I've been reading the comments more and more after the stream was over about Mr. Grabby Hands, and I think I accused y'all a little bit. What's up, Scott, man? I think I accused y'all a little bit too much of giving her a hard time, or giving McGrabby Hands a hard time. It was just the nickname. Y'all seem to think very highly of McGrabby Hands.
Why me? Why?
I'm sorry to hear that, Scott, man.
Dear God, what have I done? Save me. Please, save me.
So we are dealing with a gentleman that is progressively getting sicker. I will mention that that within his lore, he actually is just getting progressively worse as everything continues. But he's interesting. He's kind of like a relative that it just gives you like an out of the blue, really good present. Because like he's like, hey, I want to help y'all out, and most of the villagers are like, hey, leave me alone, go away. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely take care of yourself, and glad you came in. Hope you're doing okay. But yeah, at one point he's just sitting there going like, hey, have a flamethrower. Which is no joke, he actually gives you a flamethrower, which is pretty darn awesome. So we're actually going to visit something that I want to say I completely forgot about, but yet this was something that we talked about. I like revisiting this every episode, and I think everybody's going to progressively get mad at me as I do it. But we are revisiting the story with the little girl, which interestingly enough, I found her on one of my farming runs while I was doing Central Yarnum, and we found out that she was indeed eaten by the pig. So there's that. And to prove that, we're able to show an item right here. Red ribbon that messengers are oddly fond of. As we know, the messengers keep us between the dream and reality. Thick red was drawn, pungent red, drawn for the orchids of some unfortunate victim. My gosh, strange choice indeed, but perhaps for the messengers wearing this accessory constitutes a form of mourning. It's weird, but yes, the poor little girl was killed. And Ryan and I were talking about this afternoon, and I felt like it was very... the way I was describing it, he gave me a hard time because I was saying it like the scene in Monty Python where they were talking about the castle sinking to the swamp, because he was like, is there any plausible way that this little girl doesn't get eaten by a pig? And I was like, well, you can give her the brooch. But giving her the brooch gets eaten by the pig. So instead, what we're going to do is not tell her about her mom being dead and tell her about the cathedral board. That gets her eaten by the pig. Then there's a third option where I can tell her that her mother is dead. Then she falls down the ladder, breaks her ankle, then it gets eaten by the pig. But the clinic is where she can get there intact. I know I'm making a humorous thing over something very, very, very morbid. I can't remember if there's anybody here. No response. There is a part in the game where her sister will actually talk to you. And if you cue that, she'll actually take the ribbon from you, which is a pretty interesting part in this story. It just seems to go on and on. But thankfully, that part is a little over. We do not have to talk about this anymore. That was the last time we had to address it. Poor Gascoigne and his family. We all feel very, very bad for him. And for good measure, I usually go out of my way to do this on occasion. Let's make sure that we right the rights here by going to this godforsaken pig should always like make it a point in this stream to go in and take care of that pig every single time. We won't do that. That will be a waste of time, but it does make me feel just a hair bit better. The only plausible option for the little girl doing all right is I just don't tell her anything. I just let her stay in the place that she was. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I know she has a sister, so something I'm like, maybe she lives out the long night. I don't know. But something that we realize about Bloodborne games and Souls games in general, even if you try to do the right thing, most of the time it ends up poorly, and you feel really bad about yourself. So, unfortunately, a lot of these are depressing. And that thing is following me, dadgummit. I know that Soul's animation cares about readability over finesse, but the clipping always bothers me. What? Oh, I'm going to see if I can do the clip in Hemwick Charnel Lane that I posted on Twitter. That was funny. But I'm not sure what clipping that you're mentioning. I don't know if Ryan is here, but I did want to talk about something that I thought was really interesting. Is we mentioned a little bit about the doll in this case, and there were a couple people that were really interested to say, what is this doll? We know that we're in a dream. We know that it connects between reality and acts as a hub world, but we're not 100%. Sorry, I can't help but laugh at that, Potter. That's a good point. I've thought of that many, many times, that my fingers should be clacking on every single stupid part of that ladder. That's funny. Yeah, cosmic horror is not going to be fun, and it's going to get worse. So the doll she's just that. She's a doll. We can only see her as sentient if we decide to have insight. Insight is the little eyeball up in the right-hand corner. So I've got 16 of those. So anytime it's at 0, she will not be sentient, and she will be lifeless up on this little stoop here. Although, fun thing that you can do is you can do gestures to kind of greet the doll, and she'll respond accordingly. So if you bow, she'll bow. If you do most anything else, she'll kind of look at you with this look of befuddlement. And my personal favorite, I think there's like 2 gestures you can do, but for Hunter's Rally, she's like, I guess I should be excited. I guess I should be excited that you're doing something. I don't know what this is, but I like her spirit in this case. She's very nice and very kind. So again, she is a doll. And noticeably, we're going to understand that a little bit further as we go into a hidden area. It's very optional, and it's pretty hard to find if you're not looking for it. So I do want to talk to the dwellers before we get started, but I do want to go and talk a little bit about the doll because I think there's something really, really, really cool about her her story. The crow mask is my favorite, and I've never thought of that I should be banging my darn beak on every single thing.
Oh, hello. Sorry, dear. You're much too eager. Only so much blood, okay?
Look, it's been a week! Although I haven't used her blood. Ariana's blood, I have not used it yet. This old lady still gets a little bit testy with me, but she was much madder at me. She was, last week, she was like really mad at me. She was like, "This is all your fault, get the hell out of here!" And now she is really upset.
Give it a rest, please. I've no time for your petty lies. And what? Just go away now. I can't stand the stench of your lying breath.
Plague of gripes. I don't know that I have. So notice that something a little bit is different here. Like, AKA this door is open. Let's go discover it a little bit here. We're gonna go visit a secret place. And get your death meters up, everybody. Because I've been practicing this, but I don't know how well it's gonna go. And per the spirit of practice, I would like to let y'all know that I have been avoiding this chest the entire time. We are sitting on 3 deaths right now, total for this run. So I picked up another Carol rune here. Let's check that out real quick. So Carol rune for communion actually lets me have more blood vials to carry, which is good because I ran over my limit. We're going to actually learn about Carol today, so I'm kind of excited about that. Because this is an important character to the story. So now we're headed to the Healing Church workshop, and we're going to take a little detour. You're supposed to go up those stairs, but we are actually going to look at a pretty interesting area. Alright. Let's see how much this practice was going to be worth it here. Oh! Yeah, there we go. Hardcore parkour. Alright, I'm not done yet. Okay, alright, I did it. Didn't have to die either. Okay, so y'all know about the workshop that we go into in the dream. Well, guess what? It is based on a real place. And this is the real place. And if you listen very carefully, there is a weird theory about this of Gehrman's obsession with Maria and the doll, that you can hear this slight laugh and groan. I don't know if y'all can hear it. It's a weird debate amongst the community. And honestly, I just kind of... This is one of those coincidental things where I just say, I think it was a sound designer's mess up. But I could definitely be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. So as we've mentioned before, I'm going to take a look at this in a second. As we've mentioned before, the Hunter's Workshop has been kind of long since been in operation. This is where Gehrman was going through a little bit of his depression. And we see that it is unbelievably difficult to get to. We had to parkour our way down. Now, some people say that this is, like, the reason for it, that hunters have a hard time through their training is they have to get down there. I don't believe that for 1 second. I think the Healing Church absolutely decimated this place. I think you used to be able to walk down and come to this place, but now it is disheveled. Okay, I needed to get that one off my chest, because I think that's a fan theory that people run too much stock in. But, anyway. So we're going into the Healing Workshop, and who do we see on our left here? Why, it's the doll. It is an abandoned doll. It is lifeless. I have 18 insight, and yet she is not moving. Again, this is nothing but a doll. That's all she is. But there's a few things that go along with it that they give us hints within this particular place. And I'm going to grab those right now. And we'll talk about that thing here in a minute as well. Alright, so we collected a few items. I think that's it. I don't remember if the doll's clothes are in here or not. So let's talk about a few items that we just picked up. First and foremost is a bit of arcane. And you'll have to excuse me, I haven't picked up a lot of these things in a while, so I forget where they are. Let's see here. Old Hunter's Bone. So it is said that the apprentice to Old Gehrman and a practitioner of the art of quickening, technique particular to the first hunters. This actually gives you an opportunity to go a little bit invisible and move very, very quickly. I don't use it that often because it takes Quicksilver bullets, which is kind of a shame, but it's very good for dex builds. And a few people use it, and those few people are very important to the story. Another thing that we picked up is a very important item, the small hair ornament. Small, very ordinary hair ornament, although it has been lost for quite some time. One can still see of care of which tasteful ornament was once kept. Its color would stand out most brilliantly against a head of grayish hair. So, first and foremost, we have talked about Gehrman a little bit at length of this story, and we noticed that the doll has whitish gray hair. Now, I believe with Gehrman, again, is very much in love with Lady Maria. And she and him have a very mutual, strong relationship together of admiration. They are very much kindred spirits and colleagues. They fight together really well. They're very strong fighters. But through one of the missions that they went through, something went horribly, horribly wrong. And Maria, struck with guilt, decides that she's going to kill herself. Now, I think before she killed herself, Gehrman had fashioned a few things for Lady Maria as gifts. One, and I think a lot of them are like progressively creepy. One, I think, is the outfit. The outfit of the doll, as you can see right here. When you see this item description, it goes into detail to say that it's meticulously crafted. Gehrman did a really good job on this, as well as he had this hair clip. So he was going to, in my mind, he was going to give these to Maria as gifts, which to me, I was like, that's not all that creepy. You know, the hair clip, you know, getting that for a significant other, that seems like a reasonable gift. The dress may be a little bit more creepy because we know Gehrman is not a tailor, he's a hunter. So, okay, it's getting a little bit more creepy. I think after Maria died, this is where Gehrman started to make a doll in her likeness. And this is where that gets really creepy. And I think if Maria were to see this doll, she would flip her shit. Again, Maria is a very proud woman, and she's also an incredible fighter. So I think if she saw that, she would be like, Gehrman, what the hell did you do? So that's really, really creepy. What's more is, I think that Gehrman has been in the Hunter's Dream for a long, long time. I think that he's been stuck in this stream for so long, and you can tell, maybe if I can see, if you can see in the background there, all these graves of hunters before them, and it's spread throughout. That's a big area back there. So he's been there for a while, and I think he was lonely, and I think he had just an abandoned doll that he was obviously wanted some companionship, to the point of just somebody to talk to. So I mentioned last stream that Gehrman kind of did a deal with the devil, and in this case a great one, and that great one is the moon presence. And that moon presence, this is a fan theory, but gave the doll sentience, so he could talk to her. But again, this is something that Gehrman had to realize, that this is not the same person. This is not the person that he loved. So, but I'm going to do something to talk with the doll here for a second.
Home, good. What is it you desire? What? What is this?
So I'm giving her the hair ornament.
I can't remember. Not a thing, only I feel a yearning, something I never felt before. What's happening to me? Tell me, Hunter. Could this be joy?
Alright, who's got the handkerchiefs? We get a tear stone! So, I am ignoring the umbilical cord here for a second, because I think it's better when we talk about it as we progress through the game. But the tear stone, used to charge droplet blood gem, fortifies any weapon. Doll sheds neither blood nor tears, and that its nature remains unknown. Whoever thinks this is precious must be troubled with severe naivety. Well, if the shoe fits, because I'm really choked up right now. Thank you very much, game. Make me feel even worse about myself. Okay. Now let's go into some of the game for tonight. I know that took a while, so sorry about that. I hope that you enjoyed a little bit of the backstory with the doll here. And now Dr. Space Cowboy finally comments. I go into this whole section about Gehrman and the doll. We'll watch it on the replay, because I think I described it well, but we'll talk more about it. Something that Outrider pointed out to me was these statues right here. Very H.P. Lovecraft, right? Very Cthulhu-esque. And they are latent around the temple here, or excuse me, the Grand Cathedral. And there are some theories that I want to discuss today for why that might be the case. So we'll get into that. Oh, crap. I'm gonna get frenzied. And I don't have any sedatives, that's not good. They do like Mr. Peanut. Alright. So now we are going away from the Cathedral Ward. Seeking some help, seeking asylum away from this horrible, horrible place. And one thing we might find is, going through all of this, we're trying to find a way out of this place. And we might find things that we really weren't wanting to discover. Now, full disclosure, there were 2 hunters here. I didn't realize through one of my first playthroughs the other day that you could drop down through here, and actually no, it was like right over here, that you can drop down and surprise one of the hunters, and that hunter uses his gun way too much, and I hate battling him, so I felt like if I got the drop on that one, that I was just going to take advantage of that. So sorry. There are 2 hunters here that are classified as hunters only by name. They are not trained by any stretch of the imagination. But we're also going to see another curious subject here, over here. And get out your death counters, because I'm going to take this one on purpose. Come on. Who's counting them? Intentional death. You might sit there and go, okay, Tocho, I don't know. I really want to know y'all's opinion. I'm going to take 2. Okay, so everybody's saying, yep, that's... They're like, counts. Totally counts. Now, normally you go back to the lamp, but what's this? What's going on? That Snatcher done snatched me! It's like Dora the Explorer. Snatcher, no snatching! Alright, everybody, welcome to jail. We done been arrested. Oh, Jeremiah Snuffy Britches, excuse me, is in trouble. First and foremost, this is a very unusual spot to be in right now, because normally when you die you go back to the lamp. But this time we have been kidnapped, and we have been taken to jail. Now the jailers are not very good because I could just open the door. But I'm bid bad, so I'm just going to shut it, and I am going to serve my time. How's it going, everybody? Y'all doing all right? Hanging out? Yeah, doing all right? There's not a whole lot of people to talk to. But, you know, just serving out my sentence, wearing my top hat. They didn't take my possessions or anything either. Okay, enough of that. One thing I want to notice right off the bat here is that the sentence, glad you asked that, Potter, the sentence is actually not really doing anything. You are taken here for a very specific reason that they actually mention across the board around here. And I'm going to grab the cold blood and read a note here. Madmen toil serendipitously in rituals to beckon the moon, uncover their secrets. I want to notice something about this particular area, and I think this is important. When you play Dark Souls game, one thing that you may notice is that there's usually not any music. And this place gave me the friggin' creeps when I first got here. Sorry, I can't talk. There's music here, and it's actually been translated by the community. And I'm going to serendipitously. I can't talk. Don't judge me on this. Syrup and whatever. Alright, so we hear a cry for help. Let's go see who this person is and talk to her. So we can tell by her garb she is a member of the Healing Church.
Oh, please leave me be. Don't take me, please. Oh, please, dear God. Oh, please leave me
Okay.
be. Don't. Oh,
We're going down a not successful road. So you know what that means, folks. Wardrobe change! I got lucky on my first playthrough that I was actually wearing this in the first place. So now I'm wearing church clothes.
Oh, by your garb, the Healing Church. You've come to save me. Oh, thank you, dear saint. I have no words to express my relief.
And cornbread and waffles sound great.
Sure to please an upstanding member of the church like you.
Honestly, Adela, I don't think you can be too picky about who's saving you.
Thank you so much.
I haven't done anything.
I was seized on the street by the hulking brute in the cathedral ward and locked up here.
Yeah, who is this hulking brute?
It's been taken away. And I've heard moans echoing in the distance ever since. So, the hunt is on tonight. Then the streets are perilous, and every door will be shut tight. Perhaps it isn't my place to ask, but do you know somewhere that might take me in?
Hey! What do y'all think, people? Chapel, the clinic, or do I just not want to tell her anything? She did judge me on my appearance. So we got one vote for the clinic. I'm feeling personally attacked here. Oh, do I have your permission, Dr. Space Cowboy? Alright, so, we got a tie here. 1 to chapel, 1 to clinic. Yes, welcome to Lord of Jour, everybody, the stream that we talk about cornbread and waffles. Alright, 2 for the chapel. Anybody else? Going once, twice, 3 times. Oh, are you for real changing your vote? Alright, we're going to take her to the clinic.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll set out as soon as I can. I pray for success on your hunt.
Thanks, Adela.
Kind hunter.
Actually, that we won't see her at the chapel. It should be noticed that she's incredibly jealous of Ariana, and if you take enough of Ariana's blood, she will kill Ariana, and she will try to kill you too. And she has a great voice actor who does some great laughing. Alright, so the big thing is, this is a secret place. Why are we here? So we have been sent to prison for a very specific reason. We have uncovered something of the second echelon of the Healing Church, which is known as the School of Mensis. The School of Mensis also works with the Healing Church, and their job is to research how to become a Great One. You'll notice... Oh, crap! You'll notice through a lot of this game, everybody's goal, especially for the people of the Healing Church, is how to become a Great One. And so, normally, you would start to see that... I'm sorry, this music can distract me a little bit. Normally what happens with trying to become a Great One, there was 2 schools of thought. There was blood, and there was insight. Well, the School of Mensis, I think, had a bit of a beat of their own drum here. And look at that. Do y'all remember the thing in the Cathedral Ward? Those statues? Well, doesn't that look familiar? So in this case, they decide the best way to make a Great One is to try to build one. And so they need participants. Well, I'm guessing they don't have a lot of participants. So the Church of Mensis is put in charge by the Healing Church, School of Mensis by the Healing Church, to put a covert plan to kidnap people to see if they can make them into a Great One. Nightmares, rituals, crave a newborn, find one, and the silence its harrowing cry. This is a very important note, because now our journey has been updated. This is completely optional, by the way. You don't even have to go here. But it's a goal by the School of Mensis that the Moon Presence wants us to do. And this is updating our task list to... Our goal in this game now is to end the night and end the hunt is to slay a Great One. So that's our new goal. So we'll talk much more about that as we go along. So now we are trying to find more knowledge here, and we are in a very dark place. We have been jailed. And again, they've been trying to kidnap people. Now, trying to make a Great One, there's been a couple rumors for how to do that. First, I mentioned last episode, to make a Great One, Great Ones try to have surrogates to give to breed with. It doesn't work. And so Mensis, which to their everlasting credit, they tried to make it so that they can create one. And the results are predictable. It's not going well. They try to work with the ancient race that was in the Tomb of the Gods known as the Tumerians. Which, it's debated whether the Yarhargul hunters, as well as these strapping strong people, are who don't skip leg day, that's for sure. Their kicks are unbelievably powerful. Oh, that's going to be important right there. Let's check this out real quick. Luckily, there's not a lot of enemies in this place. Just scary music. A secret symbol left by Carol, the runesmith of Bergenworth. Gain more blood echoes. The great one that inhabits the nightmare are sympathetic in spirits and often answer which come from. Here's the thing. We mentioned this with Gehrman. These great ones are actually pretty agreeable with humans in that Gehrman wanted a companion, and so the great ones were like, okay, we'll give sentience to the doll. So that's really important. So let's go explore the Hypogean Jail, is what it's called. Oop. Here's another thing. They decided to work with witches as well. So, School of Mensis, to their everlasting credit that we're trying to do a good job to discover something, one thing they didn't do so well is they didn't hire reliable help. Or maybe a little too reliable. This help does too good a job. They do it covertly, and practices of ethics are debatable, to say the least. Here's another important note to discover here. Behold a pale blood sky. No, this is not pale blood. This is no color at all, really. Which makes me think that there's something not quite right about this place. Maybe there's not enough that we're being told right now. Ooh. Wow. Oh, did I die? I think I died. Hey, everybody! I forgot where that pig was. As I mentioned before, there is music that goes along with it. And as you go further into the city, which is called Yarhar Ghul, you'll actually start to notice that the noises and the singing gets louder. And once I kill these snatchers, hopefully, I'm going to actually tell you what the translation is. Thanks, everybody, for keeping count! Okay. So here's the lyrics that go in with this song. They are saying, cursed, the sacrificed gift. We are corrupted, cursed by the beast. May we introduce our mother, silver, water in the darkness, mother by the blood, or from the blood, that's to be debatable there, our redemption, evil, goodbye sea, blood. So you might sit there and go, what the hell does that mean? The reference to the mother is actually in relationship to the botched mission by Maria and Gehrman that led to Maria killing herself. Which becomes important very, very much later in the game. Alright, I'm gonna try not to be surprised by this pig this time. Amazing it can clip through that statue. There we go. So again, it should be mentioned that something's not quite right about this place. We're being told things that don't quite add up, like pale blood sky. It's almost like this is a facade. And us being jailed and not seeing the full potential for what this place really is actually extremely significant. See, the people of Mensis and the people of Yarhar Ghul are on a mission to make sure that people either don't know about this place, which is why it's called Unseen, but the other thing that they're trying to do is make sure that people can't see it for what it really is. Which is still pretty horrible, but you can't actually see what they're doing. You can just see that this is a very scary place with very scary music, as I've mentioned before. There's a dog behind me. Yep. A lot of dogs today. Can't stand these dogs. So again, School of Mensis operating under the Healing Church, taking some methods that are questionable to say the least, hiring mercenaries to do dirty work, to try to kidnap people, to create a great one. It's not going well. It's extremely terrifying, and that's what the Snatchers' job are. Their job is to take you out of wherever you're going, away from Yharnam, and to kidnap you. That's what they're there to do. And it is rumored that they are Thumerians. And they work out a lot, as they don't skip leg day. Because they can kick really hard. Oh, damn! That was close. They can also get charged up and hit you really hard. Whew, okay. So let's keep going into one of my favorite items. School of Mensis is the same as the choir. No. The School of Mensis... What's up, Tim, man? The School of Mensis is just one echelon of the Healing Church. As mentioned, the Hunters are one of them. The School of Mensis is another. And the choir serves as a very different purpose. Their job is to research the Great Ones by themselves. They don't actually go out of their way to conduct experiments to create Great Ones. Good question. Hope you're doing all right, Tan Man. All right, I know there are a few things back here. Give me 1 second. We're going to unlock a shortcut here, although we really don't need it. This place really isn't that big. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of shoot around in Yharnam for a little bit. Tan Man, good question. No, you do not have to beat every Chalice dungeon. In fact, you only have to do one Cursed dungeon. And that is the Cursed Thumerian dungeon. That's the only one you have to do. It's awful. And it's very, very difficult. But that is one you will have to do in order to get to the Thumerian Queen. Pick up some Madman's knowledge. Alright, this is a significant item here too. This is the Yar Hargul Black Garb. Let's check this out really quick. I think this is actually really cool here. Or did I miss it? There it is. The thick black pullover worn by the hunters of the unseen village here. Yes, the Defiled Dungeon, sorry. The Hunters of Yar Hargul answer to the village founders, the School of Mensis. So again, the connection between Yar Hargul and the School of Mensis. Hunters in name only, the kidnappers blend into the night wearing this attire. Again, I think there is some relation between them and the Thumerians. It's even theorized that the Yar Hargul hunters are Thumerians, which seems a little off because Thumerians are much taller for the most part, but as you go through the Chalice dungeons, you'll see more Thumerians that aren't that tall. But they are considered to be like superhumans, and so a lot of people try to become them in this case. Designed primarily to defend from physical attacks, binding a thick rope serves both to protect its wearer and restrain its foes. Again, to kidnap people to bring them here, to conduct all kinds of awful rituals. That watchdog in the Defiled Defiled Dungeon is probably one of the hardest bosses in the game. I don't think I will be fighting it during this show because it doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose and it is hard as nails. The amygdala, which we'll talk way more in subsequent episodes. Actually, if you treat it very patiently, I was able to do that one without too much problem. But you've got to know its attack patterns pretty well. All right, let's go back in here. As we mentioned, the jail is a facade here. And we'll notice kind of as we dive deeper into this place. Alright, I'm going to make sure I try not to get surprised here. Saw a witch go that way. But there's also one waiting right here. Haha, you're not going to sneak up on me. Oh. Alright, someone needs to clip that. My gosh, I deserve that. That's my bad. Witches in this game really act as undertakers. They're very prevalent in terms of conducting rituals, especially with the dead, which makes sense around here, since I imagine that a lot of the experiments with people don't go as planned all the time. No, I am not beating Shocky Boy now that my weapon's at risk. Whoops! Okay, I'm gonna leave them alone for a second. I gotta go back to the Hunter's Dream. Luckily, I'm not far from the lamp, and luckily I know this place pretty well, so I can beat the enemies okay. But no, I am not going to, because when your weapon is at risk, even if it doesn't break, your damage output is awful. So we're gonna go repair it real quick. 2 rules of thought when it comes to this game. Make sure that you spend your blood vial or your blood echoes. Always do that. And also, make sure you repair your weapon. Let's do that now. And now that we have a new weapon, I am going to fortify the hell out of it. I actually am one of the few people that actually loves the Tonitrus. Oh, I'm sorry. Alright, Outrider, you have a good night, okay? We will see you soon. Alright, let's go back to jail. Oh, the Beast Claw is so unnecessary, but yes, you do need to get it, and those are in the Loran dungeons. Now, for those who don't know, there are 4 different types of the Tombs of the Old Gods. One of them is a desert society called Loran. Loran is like ancient Egypt, and I still think it's filled with the race of Temerians. I don't think it's the race of people were different than the Loran that they are in Tumeru. That's debatable, but that's just my theory. There's 2 things that are distinguishable about Loran as an ancient place. One is it's a desert area. Okay. Focus. Alright. 1, it's a desert area, and 2, it's filled with lightning. Desert storms are abundant in Loran. So, if you go through those challenge dungeons, one of the things you'll notice is that there's streaks of lightning that go throughout it all the time. And we will notice throughout Yar Hargul and the Hypogean jail, there's a very specific theme here, and that is there is a ton of lightning in this place. You'll see it all throughout in various items. So the Tonitrus is here, which is basically a weapon that utilizes lightning. I'm gonna equip it real quick. And the way that you can transform it, if you will, is to make it more electric. But it doesn't increase its range, which is why a lot of people hate it. I am not one of those people. I love the Tonitrus. But again, it uses electricity, and oddly enough, this is, to me, is really interesting. Yarhar Ghul is the only place that you can find the Tonitrus and also can find bolt paper. You can't find it anywhere else in this case. So part of me has a very interesting fan theory. I think Yarhar Ghul is somehow connected with Loran. There's no way of confirming that. It's purely speculation. But I think there's something to be said for how much electricity is garnered here. And I think the people of Loran gave the people in Yarhar Ghul this really special element to be able to utilize in their fight. I don't know that for sure, but I think the people of Yarhar Ghul actually utilized it well and created instruments as well as weapons to make better use of the Scourge of the Beast. There's another area of proof that I think is very interesting, and those who have played this game knows what's coming, is our 5th boss in the game. And actually, y'all mentioned this before, so I'm actually going to use it this time. We can see that the old hunter is Defector Antal, I think is his name, and he's wearing Yarhar Ghul gear. But he's siding with us, which makes him a defector. I think that's pretty cool to say. Some of the people of Yarhar Ghul might have sat there and said, y'all, this is unethical. This is terrible what we're doing here. And so we need to, make sure that we are not trying to sacrifice people in order to create a great one. This thirst for knowledge for the School of Mensis has gone way out of hand. Alright, so it seems pretty normal around here. As Tocho says, Yarhar Ghul garb, quarantine improved. Although it's really just a face mask, it doesn't really cover your face. Henrik, on the other hand, very much quarantine approved. I love that you do that, man. That's so funny. Look, more electricity. What do you know about that? Alright, one thing I'll say about this thing is that it is hard to hit. You gotta aim for the legs constantly. It is incredibly fast. I do not like targeting it because of how fast it is. And if you target it, what happens is your camera just doesn't know what to do. Really, anytime after you beat the Bloodstarved Beast, this is an option to fight Dark Beast Park. And honestly, it's as hard as or as easy as you want to make it. I am at a significantly higher level. Therefore, this is not a beast that I usually have a lot of problems with. Oh, it might be. So there's the Spark Hunter badge. And no, I've never done a Blood Tinge run, honestly. Although people love the Shikage. We'll get to it much, much later. Some people go to get the Shikage at like level 26 or something. I am not one of those people. Something to remember. Oh man, my blood level right now is level 77. I've done a lot of farming. Because I don't like dying in these runs if I can help it. One thing I'll mention about that beast we just fought, its name is Parl. There's only 2 that come place in this game. Like, some of these bosses get recycled throughout the game. Parl is one of them, but he's known by a different name in the Loran Tomb of the Old Gods, or Chalice Dungeons as they're called. And it's known as a Loran Silver Beast, I think is what it's called. And it is an electric beast. Again, I think the people of Loran, by being discovered by the Healing Church, made a deal with the School of Mensis. And look at this! Shortcut back to Old Yarnum, the city that was burnt to the ground. And fun fact, when you go this direction, you can actually approach Jour. Remember Jour, our old hunter friend who tried to kill us with a Gatling gun, and we made him see the errors of the way by pushing him off a building. Which, by the way, I've got my powder keg hunter badge. That's the hunter. Complex design. Big booms culminated in weapon designs that contrast those traditionally with the workshop. Again, they use dynamite to fish. That's my interpretation for how the powder kegs are. And Jour, you can actually go up to talk to. I love that. Jour, you can actually go up and talk to him, and you can actually not fight him at all, and just agree, hey, look, maybe fighting this beast is a bad idea. I did not take that route, but it is an option where you and Jour in a different life can become friends, which is nice. I'm going to show the other one, which is the Spark Hunter badge. Badge crafted in secret by Archibald. Famous eccentric of the Healing Church for his friends, Archibald was fascinated by blue sparks that emanate from hides the dark beasts, which again are in Loran. And dedicates his life to artificial reproduction, which is kind of one of the reasons why I think the Tonitrus really works in this case. All right, Potter, you take care of yourself, all right, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. In a state of inquiry, incidentally, that photo is closely followed by the methodology of Bergenworth. Next episode, we're actually going to talk about Bergenworth because it is very important to the story. Thanks again for joining, Potter. So now that we are done with Yarhar Ghul and have seen a few things that we're a little confused by,
What is it?
we're going to level up
Very well.
and head to a new area. And this is the place that I've been practicing way too much. And in the spirit of all things good, I'm going to approach it the way it's supposed to be approached. So we are going to go through the Grand Cathedral, and we're going to notice again these statues that were also present in Yarhar Ghul in the Hypogean jail, which were these H.P. Lovecraft kind of monster-looking things. We should raid Twitch TV. Yeah. She's playing Bloodborne too? That's awesome. Yeah, we could definitely raid. I went in the wrong direction. That's okay. I was supposed to go to the Grand Cathedral, and I did not. That's okay. We can get there pretty easily, I think. We need to collaborate. If she's playing as well. I'm going to skip these guys. If you notice really closely there, that lamp has eyes on them. The lamp actually has eyes to suggest there's something a little bit more to this insight thing, and it's going to be super apparent where we're going next. I think I'm going to have to fight this guy. Ow. Fun fact, Henrik's garb is actually, and that's what I'm wearing, is very good against lightning. So I'm going to put on my top hat because that's what Jeremiah wears. And I'm going to put on Charred Hunter apparel. That's very high defense for fire. And that will become very apparent of why I'm doing that here soon. Ow! Wow. Oh boy. Alright, I gotta heal. Because it's gonna happen. No, it didn't. Wow. My frenzy meter. So if my frenzy meter goes up all the way, I get what's called a frenzy, and I lose 80% of my health in an instant. So your goal is to never get frenzy. Tocho, yes. That church dweller told me to sit the hell down. So as we're leaving the Cathedral Ward again, now we're going to try to explore a whole new place. Maybe we're trying to get away from Cathedral Ward and Yarnum in general. But guess what? It's not going to be that easy, because there are hunters, first and foremost, blocking your way. And apparently, oh gosh, I had no idea that one of them came in this direction. This is going to be a problem. Where is it? I didn't know they spawned here. So this ghostly apparition-looking thing is called a Mad One, and they are hyper-aggressive, hyper-fast, and they hit really hard. And also, fun fact about these, what are called Mad Ones, you can only see them if you have plus 15 more insight. So this actually suggests something really interesting. And that is Willem, who was, again, Lawrence's professor, as we mentioned in previous videos. Willem was right about something about insight, is that you can start to see things that you weren't able to before. There are a lot of things hidden within. There's another one? Holy crap. I didn't realize there were two. There were things that you couldn't see before, but now are present. I'm not fighting that thing. There are too many people with guns and too many dogs. And I would rather just get out of here. There's not a whole lot of lore that goes into this place right here, other than just not being able to want to leave here. There we go. Wow, I had no idea that they were this apparent before you even got to Hemwick. Interestingly enough, again, you kind of see they appear from the ground, almost like they're being summoned in some way. It's magic! Alright, so we are in Hemwick Charnel Lane. First and foremost, we need to talk a little bit about the name of this place. Hemwick is a place, and it's supposed to be referencing a charnel, which, if you don't know what a charnel is, it's a house. So a charnel house is a house comprised of bones, is not to overcrowd for decomposition, which is actually something we see all throughout Yarnum. You know, there's bodies everywhere, so they kind of take them here for the most part. But in reality, you'll see throughout that there aren't a lot of bones, but yet a lot of people here. There are a lot of people here that are hanging from trees, which actually suggests that this is a charnel ground, which is recently deceased bodies that are out in the open to be picked apart by scavengers like crows. While it seems like it was something similar to what Eileen would be doing with a sky burial, it's anything but. And now we are going to incorporate witches and followers of the witches. And honestly, one of the reasons why I like putting a fire blood gem on my saw cleaver is because they come up with some really good dialogue when you fight the witches here. It should be mentioned as we're going through here that the witches here don't actually use weapons. It's like they're using farming tools, which, I mean, for the most part, the men who are hunters also use farming tools, but that was like a poker that they were using. And you'll see that they use scythes, you'll see that they use Molotov cocktails. Here's what... There's not a lot of lore to Hemwick, and not a lot of people talk about it, but here's the theories that go along with it. First and foremost, we have what's called a Bloodshot Eyeball. These are prevalent to go into Chalice dungeons. And their purpose, if I can find them, let's see here. Material used in a holy chalice ritual, an exquisite eyeball removed quickly after death, or perhaps even before, used to unlock the seal of the old Lavert Hinder tomes. Something very important to mention here about these eyeballs is that the witches here are undertakers, and this acts as a crematorium. Hemwick Charnel Lane does. And I am going to try not to die by being surprised. Head for this guy right away. Again, seeing the witches use pokers almost. And one thing you'll notice that you'll see a lot of what looks like steam always coming out of this place. And I'll show you after I fight that witch, fight her. You'll see here that there's looks like steam coming out of this pipe. We think, the community that I've been reading thinks actually it's smoke, because you can see, if you look very carefully, and let me actually get out my monocular here. If I can get to it, I keep missing it. Yeah, there you go. Actually looks like some kind of oil substance, or tar, which actually acts as, again, smoke instead of actually what we would consider to be steam. There's also a very specific item that comes out of here, which is called Bone Marrow Ash. According to the workshop, this is a special bone marrow ash collected from Hemwick Charnel Lane. Again, this is from the ash of dead bodies. Anyone else? It is invaluable to hunters, and it improves your guns quite greatly. So you might sit there and go, what is the point of this place? Why is this acting as kind of an area of Undertaker, with you see the crematorium and all these graves here? Many people suggest that people are taken here as a means of disposal, as they're becoming a beast but not quite there. And I don't really buy that. I think the people of Yharnam have no damn issue burying people right then and there, as evidenced by all the graves within there. I think that these witches are harvesting organs so that they understand insight a little bit themselves. They are probably a little bit aware of what Willem was trying to discover with insight, and I don't think they're working with Willem, but I also think they know something's up. And I think they're at least well aware of an idea of becoming into Ascension here. Are we having issues again? I'm gonna make sure my sound is okay, make sure it wasn't like it was last stream. Alright. Now, witches like to hide. And as you've seen in the Hypogean jail, they also like to sneak up on you and slit your throat. Which, ultimately, is a pretty good means of making sure that the person that they're trying to kidnap is dead. I mean, that's kind of obvious. Okay, sound is good. That is good. Since we're so void of lore in Hemwick for the most part, I want to show some like kind of stupid Easter eggs. One is these crows here. We have one crow that is non-hostile. And it is extremely divisive amongst the Bloodborne community whether to spare or to kill the crow that is not bothering anybody. So you can sit there all you want, and all it does is just kind of look around. And so naturally, kind of do the same too, tilt my head all the way. Yeah, we're void of lore here in this case. Sorry about that, everybody. Here's another weird thing. Let's see here. Toto, just a point. The witches that grab you from behind are using scoops and not going through your throat. So there's something interesting to be said about that. The witch that is in the Charnel house actually has a weapon that's akin to scooping out an eyeball. But the rest of them have scythes. So I don't know. The only reason I say that, well, I can actually show you. I don't think it'll kill me. Okay, well, you want to give more load to the crow? Billy the crow was lonely. He was amongst his rambunctious friends who didn't like him. And so they went along to hunters trying to pick out their eyeballs. But Billy wasn't about that. Billy was part of the Confederates that are also in this game. His job was to befriend the hunters and destroy the vermin that it was his friends. And as you can see, we succeeded. Way to go, Billy! Good job! Billy's our friend, and we are not going to kill him. I don't know what his name is. Yay, Billy! That's right. Okay, here's another weird thing. Yeah, why not? I'm gonna do this. So there's something really weird about this particular area. This bridge apparently is void to, or falls to nothing, as you can see here. But I want y'all to watch this really closely. I'm going to take my second intentional death for tonight just because I think this is really weird and interesting. Is that there's a certain screen that pops up when you die, and I don't know why it's the case. So I'm going to just jump off real quick. Now watch real closely. When it shows you die, the background is bricks. Did y'all see that? I don't know why that happens, but for whatever reason, when you die in that particular area and you fall to this abyss that is not explained at all, and the community has about 1 billion theories, which I don't know how valid any of them are, but you can see bricks on the You Died screen. I don't know why I found that interesting. It's mainly because when I do farming runs, I forget that it's there, and I end up plunging to my doom. Oops. Yeah, I gotta be honest, I was not anticipating doubling my death count for this stream. But here we are, and that's okay. I hope y'all are having fun. I know I am. It's just more excuse to play Bloodborne. I love this game. It also might be suggested, I'm going to go back to Hemwick, it also might be suggested that the witches are in cahoots with the School of Mensis again. It might be a way of taking fresh and clean cadavers to make bone marrow ash instead of kidnapping them in this case. Which I think would be kind of interesting. Or it's the exact opposite, is they take the eyeballs and organs of people who are turning into beasts. It's not really well explained, but I think it's all part of the experiment. And I think, again, Mensis are using mercenaries and hiring people. And I think this is just one of the other groups, are the witches. It might also just suggest the mad ones that appear from the ground is a very specific summoning technique that really only happens in Yar Hargul. So that's kind of interesting. That was a rare miss. I mean, I totally parry got him. Didn't you see that, Space Cowboy? Totally parry got him. Alright. So we're actually going to head into one of my favorite areas of Hemwick, Charnel Lane, that I think is actually super interesting, of the fact that we have evidence to suggest the Healing Church is at least somewhat involved. Excuse me. And by the way, say hi to Billy, everybody. Hi, Billy! So let's go back to the place that we died. Wow, I almost got cross-checked off again. Post. Alright, let's go into the cabin here. And I'm going to see one more fun thing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off. But if you saw my Twitter, I was able to do something really weird, which was to clip this guy out of bounds. See if I can do it again. Nope, did not. And I might take another death because of it. It's for the stream. If I can find it. There we go. So yeah, for some odd reason, and this does nothing to do with the lore, it's just the gameplay, these mad ones will spawn from the ground here, and for whatever reason, because it's already out of bounds, like if you charge into them really quick, you can actually knock them into the wall or on the ceiling. Which is just fun. It's just the best. Alright. Again, we're kind of cruising through this place. And we'll notice something really interesting. I have mentioned through the last stream that there is a particular place called Canehurst, full of nobles and what we can tell are probably vampires. This is where they live. They are off in the distance in this case. Technically, you could get there from the Cathedral Ward, but if you can see very closely, and hopefully I will not fall to my death here, that the bridge is out. The Healing Church had a raid to go into Canehurst to eliminate the Vile Bloods, as they are called, and what they did was they killed everybody in there and destroyed their bridge so they could have no influence on Yharnam. Which I always thought was really messed up and also very interesting. That there's no way that you can get to Canehurst by traditional means, by ways of that bridge. Alright, I'm gonna parry God. I think, yep, out of my storage limit there. Alright, so Tocha, this is kind of where I was suggesting that it might be. Ow. Usually she sneaks up on you with that scythe there and grabs you by the neck. So let's go in this particular area. He is far more aggressive than he was when I farmed him. So always remember, when you do things for the stream, it never ends up the way you want it to. There you are. I don't want you throwing Molotovs at me while I'm not looking. We are probably talking about two different witches here. We'll talk more about one of those witches here soon. that was not the witch. This strapping young person here is what's called an executioner. And an executioner worked for the healing church. So this is kind of the theory where the witches are in cahoots with the healing church and are trying desperately to stop the Canehurst nobles, the Vilebloods, as they are heretics of the church. So now we've met two people that are heretics of the healing church. The Canehurst nobles and the Powder Keg hunters. You're sensing a theme here. A lot of people are not good friends with the healing church. Oh, no. Not yet, anyway. There's 4 dogs in this particular area, and I'm trying to make sure I don't get caught by all of them at once. Because that's what happens for the most part. Alright. So let's make sure I got everybody around here, and let's check out another item that is on the tippy last teeny little part of this bridge. Come on, pick it up. There we go. Yeah. So this is at least part of one of the methods to get to Canehurst, as you can see it. Way off for the distance here. See Canehurst? So now we can't get to it. But now we have another Carol Rune, excuse me. Carol Ruin. This transcription of the Great One's inhuman voice. A watery reflection. This rune means lake, and those who memorize it reduce physical damage. So this helps you actually take blows much easier. Great volumes of water serves as the bulwark, guarding sleep, and an augur of the Eldritch Truth, which again, Eldritch Truth has to deal with the Great Ones. Overcome this hindrance and seek what's yours. Okay, I like this in particular because this talks a little bit about who Carol is. Carol is a runesmith. And it is said that the Great Ones have a lot of problems communicating with humans, and we can't understand them. But Carol did something really cool, which she was able to translate some of the Great Ones' communication, and very creatively was etch them, into runes that people could understand, and thus increasing their strength, thus increasing the stats that make them better fighters, etc. So having these Carol runes is really an awesome thing to be able to have. The other thing is that we'll see in an item description here in a few minutes, is that they don't rely on blood, which that obviously makes Willem happy, that it's not reliant on blood when it comes to creating language of the Great Ones. So again, for Willem, the professor, he's just like, wait, I can talk to Great Ones and I don't have to use blood? That is just the perfect combination. So again, this is a little bit of what the Charnel house looks like. Obviously, it is in ruins. The thing I have a little problem with this game is that this place from the side actually looks huge, and yet they don't use it that much, and it's disheveled. Fear the old blood. That's right. And that is consequently the title of what's going to be next week's stream. Alright, here comes our 6th boss. The Witches of Hemwick. So they're going to want me to think that I'm fighting that thing. I'm not. I'm going after the witch here. Alright, so this is going to test the stream of whether or not I die to this. If I die in this fight, I probably shouldn't be streaming Bloodborne anymore. The Witches uses Arcane to hide from me, and now we start to understand a little bit more of where these Mad Ones are coming from. These Mad Ones are actually being summoned by the Witches. The Witches have enough insight power to be able to conjure mad ones. Now, unlike the mad ones that I face within Hemwick Charnel Lane, they really are kind of disinterested. Where are you? The witch is doing a good job here. I'm honestly surprised. She must be in the center here somewhere. Boy, do I feel silly right now. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. I thought she was in the center. There she is. So she actually uses a pretty unique weapon. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. It's in the shape of a crow. And it's meant to scoop eyeballs out, which you can see that she's actually covered in those eyeballs. You might also notice that her health's not going down. You might sit there and say, why is her health not going down? Well, as it turns out, oh crap. There's two of them. Which is actually good that I'm being able to hit one of them several times and her health's not going down. Alright, now I gotta find the other one real quick. What the hell? There we go. Debatably, and I don't think it's that debatable, the easiest fight in not only the game, but some would even argue that the witches are even easier than Pinwheel from Dark Souls. I don't know how much I believe that. Now, this is actually really easy to miss, too. And in fact, in my first playthrough, I missed it entirely. I like what they were going for with that fight. I really do. I think it was very creative that they tried to like have a hidden boss and you have to kind of play a hide and seek while the mad ones. I wish the mad ones were a little bit more aggressive though. That's my only problem with them. But the level design for it is actually excellent because it is that small lane here. So as we talked, we have looked at in terms of the Carol runes. Well, now we found the Rune Workshop tool, which allows us to be able, this is like a Rosetta Stone in my opinion, that you can actually translate. I wish the things that they would kill me were more aggressive. It's just too easy. It's too easy. But I agree with you. It is rumored that this is actually Carol. I don't think that's the case. If Carol knew Willem and was in this kind of same timeline as Gehrman and Maria and Lawrence, Carol would probably not... This looks like fresh blood if you look here. And is wearing hunter garb. What I think is happening is it's just somebody stole it, the witches found it, and tortured this poor soul to get it back and tried to use it to communicate with the Great Ones in some capacity. But again, you can see, I mean, at first when I thought of this, I thought that, you know, old Miyazaki, the creator of this game, was just trying to give me a case of the spookers with all these dead bodies around. But I honestly think this is a charnel ground for crows and other witches to be able to take these body parts for experimentation. These are all experiments that Yar Hargul and the witches of Hemwick that are trying to do to these people. Now, you might ask yourself, why is this the case? Well, before I do that, I'm going to level up real quick. Yeah, that's good enough. I'm going to soft cap myself on that.
In the waking world.
So let's take a look here before we sign off today. I'm going to go to the Cathedral Ward. And this is where I'm going to start talking about a little bit of a conspiracy theory that I don't know if it's completely revolutionary or anything like that, but I do think it's something worth mentioning. So the big question that I always had when I played this game is, when you're going through everything, when you're going through Yharnam, when you're going through Cathedral Ward, you might sit there and say, there seems to be two options for citizens of Yharnam. They either join the hunt, or they decide to burn incense and hide in their house. I've always wondered, why don't the citizens of Yharnam just leave? Why don't they find a way to just get out of there and get away from this horrible place full of disease and monsters? Am I targeting this thing right now? Come on. Okay, go. Why am I staying in such a horrible place? Well, here's my theory. One could be poverty. This is their home, this is their house, they want to defend it. My theory, though, is I don't think they can. And I'm going to support it with my evidence by kind of rummaging around here a little bit. So as you go through the Cathedral Ward, you'll only notice that there are certain exits to get away from this place. It is littered with monsters. It is littered with people from the church. And everybody's trying to get you in here. So my first instinct was just to be like, I'm just gonna leave. But first, this direction is to go to Hemwick, Charnel. Let's say I wanted to meet up with some of the Vile Bloods and revolt against them. We have Executioner there. They are part of the Healing Church. So they are blocking a path there. You also know that there are hunters that join Ludwig with shotguns and hunting dogs to make it so that you can't get out of this place. This is another exit that you could potentially go through. The only problem is that, as we've seen before, there are snatchers, and in this particular area there are Yarhargul hunters. And if you go even further down in this place, which we'll show in a later stream, what exactly is this place, but as you go further down in this particular area, what do you find? Going to this tunnel. But more executioners! Ow. And I just backed myself into a corner. Ah, got him up. So that was a long explanation for me to just go in and get killed. Where am I at? 7 now? I love that this is mid-game and I'm already having problems. Tocho, I get that. I really do. That the people don't want to leave. And maybe it's a consideration that people are just... Well, and I'd be interested to see why you think that people don't want to leave. I'd love to hear an explanation as to why you think that, because I think that's something that's crossed my mind quite a bit as well, and I'm not 100% sure on why I think they'd want to leave. You know, maybe they're very much a part of the church, or at least have a connection with the church that they want to get rid of. Yeah, fear of outsiders. That's a great point. Is that they just might be scared of outsiders. Grandma, in this case, who is in the chapel, she is practically a xenophobe and a racist when you're going in to talk to her. We can also go to Old Yharnam, which that's burned to the ground. So we can't go in that direction. And hey, look, it's our old friend Alfred. What's up, Alfred?
Oh, good to see you safe.
Not really, I've died 7 times.
Let's think up something to discuss.
Let's talk about the corrupted Vile Bloods, and also let's make fun of Alfred's hair some more, because that was
There must go on.
a really fun thing that people did in the last stream.
Ah, there's something I want to tell you. A bit of wisdom from the eminent master Logarius. Once, a scholar betrayed his fellows at Bergenworth and brought forbidden blood back with him to Canehurst Castle. It was there that the first of the inhuman Vile Bloods was born. The Vile Bloods are fiendish creatures who threaten the purity of the Church's blood healing. The ruler of the Vile Bloods is still alive today. And so,
Annalise.
to honor my master's wishes, I search for the path to Canehurst Castle.
Well, as we've seen through Hemwick, Charnel Lane,
It has been a pleasure.
as we've seen through Hemwick, Charnel Lane, you can't go that way because the bridge is out. So Alfred, again, is an executioner of the Healing Church, and he is trying to get to Canehurst to honor his master, Martyr Lugarius, who right now is acting as a method of keeping Annalise, the queen of the Vile Bloods. He's trying to trap her there and keep it so she can't corrupt anybody. We'll get into the backstory later on, but I think it's super interesting, and Canehurst is just one of my favorite places. The one true success of the church is probably their cultivating of humans as cattle for their own ends. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Is this propaganda by the Healing Church, as Tocho mentions here, that makes it so that people don't even want to leave. But again, here's another path out, which is
The password.
try to listen to him mumble. To get out of here, we have to know the password, which is the adage of the Healing Church, fear the old blood. Okay, so this is one of my areas of understanding what the purpose of Amelia was as part of the church. You have to know the adage to get out of Cathedral Ward safely to some extent and not have some Healing Church representation. However, the only problem is that there's one person guarding it, which is Amelia. And Amelia, by all her means necessary, is going to stop you once you get into the cathedral. And so that's, at least in my mind, why she turns into Vicar Amelia the Beast and tries everything to do to stop you from learning the adage. But now that I know the adage, I can get in here and meet the gatekeeper, who's already dead. Oh my gosh, I do not have enough to do with my time some days. Oddly enough, we'll talk about this person next episode, but this is another member of the Healing Church. And we know this by the two brothers that make up some lore of this particular area that I'm about to head to. I'm going to grab the lamp and then end the stream for tonight. We are going into the Forbidden Woods. The Forbidden Woods is an extremely dangerous place, full of monsters, full of Yarnamites that are just aching to kill you and stop you from escaping Yarnam in this case. So I'm going to hit, there it is, the lamp. And I want to mention a few things before I go tonight. Next week, we will be talking about the Forbidden Forest and the College of Bergenworth. So we are going to talk about Willem. We are going to talk about Lawrence. We are going to talk about the environment of the Old Blood, as well as what it does to people as you progress through the game, as well as what are called vermin in the forest, which is a particular area that I was not ready to talk about. I really didn't know it until a couple weeks ago, that there is actually a lot of lore. I was actually going to skip the Forbidden Forest, which leads me to my next point, which I hope y'all come and revisit the stream, because I hate this place. This was actually the first place and second and third place where I rage quitted this game. Was in Bergenworth and the Forbidden Forest. So please stick around with me. There is a lot of good lore in this place, and although I criticize it all the time, the level design is really cool, and I just think it's filled with some fun stuff here. So y'all come join me next week. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for participating within this stream. I wish you good day, hunters, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.